Welcome to AMH 2020, American History Survey. My name is Jay Smith. I am your professor for this semester for Summer B. Looking at our expected outcome, basically what I want you to be able to do is to read and interpret historical sources, which are usually primary sources. And I don't want you to take them at face value. I want you to do a little bit more interpretation and analysis of the primary sources. We'll be looking at a number of different events and themes within the semester. And my focus is not to be able to recite dates. I'm not a date person. I don't like dates. You'll see that throughout the semester. I look more at the larger themes and the concepts at work. It's more important to take kind of a bird's eye view than it is to take a much more close look at the events. I think, as you'll see, history does present itself in cycles. But what I will ask of you is to critique, analyze, and interpret throughout the semester, and a lot of the assignments that you'll be seeing are geared towards that. Word of warning, summer course, especially Summer B, is difficult because this is usually a 12 to 13 week course, so it's going to be a lot of material and a lot of work. But I've tried to kind of narrow it down to really the most important aspects, which are analyzing primary sources and getting an understanding of the historical events that are taking place. It's very important that you practice time management. I know it's the summer, but you did sign up for this course, so I'm hoping that you're ready for that. We'll talk more about deadlines later in this module, but please review the syllabus and make sure that you're able to handle the schedule and the workload. Communicating obstacles. I have students in the past who have come to me on the last day of class or the last week and said, I had a death in the family or an illness, or my job took more of my time than I thought it would, and so therefore I didn't get a lot of the work done that I needed to get done. And it does impact your grade. And especially with this short semester, it's very important that you get in touch with me and communicate these things as soon as possible. Please do not wait until the end of the semester to tell me something that impacted your performance. If it is cutting into your time to read or do your assignments, you need to communicate that to myself as soon as possible, so please do. Office hours, professors usually have an office hours schedule posted. I will email a request out or an email out to you and tell you when I will be available. And what we'll do is we'll just have a chat set up on Canvas. Keep in mind, I cannot discuss grades over email or chat or anything other than in person. So if you have a question about a grade that you received or you want to go over something, by all means, email me and we will set up an in-person meeting on campus. I do have an office. We do have a grader this semester, as I mentioned, and Micah is there to basically grade the assignments, and I'll be working with him on that. But if you have questions about the course, please direct those to me rather than directly to Micah. And as I said, I will post the schedule each week, so that if you do have questions, you can come into the chat room and just quickly, we can talk about that. Textbooks, they're pictured right there on the right. Give Me Liberty, Eric Foner is one of the better books that I've used for this course. I did get the brief version. Believe it or not, there is a longer one. And then Voices of Freedom is your primary source reader. If you can get these through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Champlin's, what have you, you can buy them used. That's fine. I have no qualms about that whatsoever. I feel like the bookstore gets enough of our money. We don't need to give any more. But please make sure you get those books as soon as possible, because you really got to start reading as soon as possible. There is an online version, I believe, of Give Me Liberty. I'm not sure about Voices of Freedom, and you can use those as well, because obviously we will not be going into lecture into the classroom, so online is certainly the way to go as well, and it's a cheaper option. So course requirements and grade breakdown, how does it all factor in? And you'll notice this on Canvas when you pull up the course. The chapter quizzes, which are at the end of each chapter, keep in mind that some chapters, or most chapters, have more than one module to them. Your primary source exercises are 20% along with the chapter quizzes. This is mainly asking you to kind of examine the primary source and check your understanding and maybe get you to think about the primary source a little bit differently. Midterm exam is 25% and then the final exam is 35%. We'll talk more about those in a sec. Chapter quizzes, as I said, are based on the textbook and lecture. These are at the end of the chapters. Again, keep in mind more than one module. But you will see that there are two deadlines for part 1 and part 2 of the course. And you need to have those completed, the chapter quizzes and the primary source exercises completed by that deadline for that particular part of the semester. Exams, mostly I do identification terms, short answer, including some multiple choice, and then an essay component. I will tell you that the primary source exercise questions will reappear and you will see them again. So it does benefit you to do those assignments. If you need a makeup exam, it's a little different with an online course because it's available at a certain date and then it closes at a certain date. So I give you, I think, about 3 days to complete the exam. But if for any reason you're not able to do that, you need to get in contact with me as soon as possible. Let's see, and you can, obviously, because it's an online course, you're going to be using hopefully your notes from lecture, textbooks, all that good stuff. I will tell you that students do have a tendency sometimes to go to Wikipedia and other Google sources, that sort of thing, to find an answer to the exam. If I do sense or get an idea that this did happen, I can give you a 0, a failing grade for the exam, and it could lead to an unforgivable F, which is one that cannot be taken off of your transcript. Please do not go to outside sources. Please use the resources that I have for you, your textbook, Voices of Freedom, your notes from lecture. This is more than enough to do well on the exam, I can assure you. And sometimes we do run into this, so please do not go to outside sources. Exams, the midterm exam will be available on Monday, July 15th at 9, and it will close on Wednesday the 17th at 5. The final exam will be available on Wednesday, July 31st at 9, and then close on Friday, August 2nd by 5. So I would ideally encourage you to take it as soon as possible and get it out of the way. There will be different parts to it, which you can split up, and usually I do like 3 different parts, and so you can do part 1 at one point, part 2 at another, just as long as it's turned in by the deadline. The final exam will have a cumulative essay. It does not mean you have to review the material from part 1 of the semester, but it will tie in a very general way. So it may be asking you, like, what are the top five events from the semester that you feel are most important? Something in that aspect, nothing very specific. And then all the other material from the final exam is from part 2. So think of it as the midterm is the exam for part 1, the final is the exam for part 2. Both exams are given online. If you do need to take them at the DRC, please let me know by email. As usual, academic honesty is highly important. Please do not borrow ideas, words, or anything else and claim them as your own. I'm going to assume that pretty much everybody understands how to cite. In the incident of plagiarism or dishonesty, I typically give a failing grade for the assignment. This also includes your Voices of Freedom reader. If you are doing the questions for the primary source activity, please do not copy the words out of Voices of Freedom. The preface, they always do like an introduction to the source. If nothing else, turn them into your own words, but do not copy word for word. I've had that problem before. You wouldn't think I would have to, but I do need to say that. So again, the idea of the assignment is to make sure that you're understanding the material and that you're getting through it. I'm not looking for a Harvard professor's opinion of something. If I did, I would ask them directly. I want you, in your words, to explain to me what you know. I can also say that, failure to follow the instructions will result in a failing grade or loss of points. And also, there is a possibility for an unforgivable F as well for the course. Again, this is an F that cannot be purged from your record. Just don't do it. Do your own work, and we'll be fine. So the major deadlines, part 1, which are modules 1 through 12, they are due July 12th on Friday. The midterm, you'll notice, opens on Wednesday, July 17th. I'm sorry, the midterm is due on July 17th. So that gives you Saturday, Sunday to prep for the exam on Monday, which will be released on Monday. And then the midterm is due on Wednesday. Same thing, part 2, modules 13 through 25. They are all due on Monday, July 29th. That gives you a couple of days before the final exam is open, and then it's due on August 2nd. I get this a lot. How do I do well in this course? Again, I've trimmed back a lot of the work, believe it or not. But first and foremost, you need to keep up with your readings and your assignment. It's the summer. I know you want to go out and have fun. Trust me, I do too. And the last thing I want to do is grade a bunch of papers, but that's the nature of the beast. So balance your work with enjoying yourself, obviously in moderation. Don't try to take your quiz after a long night of going out at the bar or anything, because it's probably not a good idea. Take notes from the lectures. Use the materials that I have. I have term sheets and slide handouts. The term sheets list all the identification terms that you need to know from that particular chapter. The slide handouts have all of the slides with a space for you to take notes. I know it's a lot in terms of printing, but as long as you're taking notes, that's the most important thing. Again, time management is key. We don't have a very long semester, so keep up and don't get behind. Don't sandbag and say, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to do 3 of the modules and that should be fine. You never know what's going to happen, so please just keep on top of it. If you are not understanding something or you need to reach out to us, by all means do that as soon as possible. If there's an issue that pops up, don't let it drag on. If it impacts your ability to manage your coursework, it's an issue we need to know about. What should you do first if you're even still listening to this? First thing you should do is read through the syllabus. If you have questions, consult your syllabus first and then contact us. But of course, by all means, please contact me first. Mike is really only there as my support. When you begin the modules, the best thing to do, and you'll kind of figure this out on your own, is to read the chapter and have your term sheet next to you so that you're following along with what the key things are that you should be picking up. Then you listen to the lecture, keeping the term sheet handy so you know what things are really important to pay attention to. Complete your chapter quiz. Then do your primary source readings. Pay attention to the questions. Have those questions next to you. It's all in the same term sheet for a reason. I did that so that you would be able to print it one time and you can go back and type in whatever you need to type in. And then you complete the primary source assignment. The primary source assignment you can either type in to Canvas directly, or you can upload a Word document or a PDF. Those are the only two document types that it will accept. So if you have any questions about that, by all means, let me know.